Hello, High Vibe Tribe members and new friends. Welcome, welcome. This is the Overwhelmed to Divinely Aligned training. I just want to make sure that we're up and we're working before I get started. So let me just pull this up on my phone. And if you guys are hopping on with me, if you guys are ready for this, let me know where you're watching from. Let me know if you guys are excited. And let me know how you're doing today. I'm so freaking excited for this 4-day course in training. So it looks like it's working. And I'm actually going to drop a link in the comments to the workbook that I promised you guys. So in addition to this course, I created this workbook that you can kind of use to reference and go back to as you work through the information that is presented to you today. So I'm going to drop a link in the comments. It is bit.ly/overwhelmed to aligned workbook. And you can access that at any time. I encourage you guys to download it and to use it as you work through your month and as you work through this information. Okay, so let's get started. But before I get started, I just wanted to really quickly introduce myself, obviously, for some of my new friends who might not know who I am, and just to reintroduce myself so you know who you're talking to and where I'm coming from, to tell you a little bit about my backstory also. I just first want to say thank you all so much for joining me. If at any point you guys have any questions or any insights or anything comes up as we work through some of the super powerful information, please drop it in the comments. Let me know. I'd be more than happy to talk about it. And just to introduce myself, my name is Allison Graham. I'm a feminine empowerment coach. I help women tune into their cyclical nature and feminine flow so that they can know who they are, what they want, and how they can contribute to the world. And to tell you a little bit about myself, my backstory, and why I do this work is because I really believe that we are on a mission as a collective to raise the consciousness, raise the vibration, raise the frequency. But I also believe that there is so much wisdom to be learned from the generations and the cultures that came before us. So I've kind of used a bit of the past and a bit of this futuristic outlook to bring us into present moment to really give you guys some really powerful and pungent information. So if you don't know a little bit about my backstory, I'm 28 now. And in the past 4 years, my life has changed massively. I went from being a hardcore party girl, giving it all, doing everything, all the clubs, all the, all the parties, all of the friends, never saying no, being completely out of my power, being completely out of my element, to seeking out help in the form of plant medicine, which changed my entire perspective on the world and myself and how we operate as a collective. I went to school for psychology. I have my health coaching certification through Integrative Institute of Nutrition. I have done a little bit of teaching in the traditional setting. And I am a yoga instructor. I'm a 500-hour yoga instructing with the Barkin method. I teach hot yoga. I also teach Pilates. I've also done lots of breathing techniques, lots of workshops. I'm obsessed with backbending. I have a lot of really fun tools in my tool belt, and my goal is to share them with you. So why are we here? Right? So why would you want to do this training on Overwhelmed to Divinely Aligned? What makes this training useful? Why is this information so potent? And basically, This information will help you gain a deeper understanding of who you are and how you operate in the world, right? So this is basically ancient wisdom for modern times. So in this particular training, in this 4-day course, we're going to go over divine feminine archetypes. And if you guys are hopping on with me, just say hello. I'd love to know who's in here with me. So we're going to go over divine feminine archetypes. And like I said, I dropped the comment in the comment box over here, which has the workbook that goes along with all this information. So these divine feminine archetypes really give you a strong outline, a strong overview into how we operate as women in the world. A lot of this work and a lot of these parallels were drawn from this book called The Red Moon by Miranda Gray. So The Red Moon is awesome book. It's by Miranda Gray. It's understanding and using the creative, sexual, and spiritual gifts of the menstrual cycle. So there's a couple of things that I want to say about these divine feminine archetypes and how they can get you from feeling overwhelmed and like you don't have any control in your life to feeling aligned and inspired. And this information can help you navigate your way through the world a little bit easier. This information kind of blends ancient civilization beliefs and cultures with religious beliefs, scientific anomalies, shamanism, yogic philosophy, astrology, creative outlets, and psychology. And all that encompasses the way in which we understand the world. So this is really meant, this information is so potent because it's meant to shift the way you understand your world and shift how you relate in context to other people and in context to yourself. Hi, Lauren. Yay. Thank you for tuning in. So, like I said, I have a background in psychology, and the reason why I'm so fascinated with psychology is because it really gives you a deeper understanding into how we connect with each other and how we connect with the world. And this information is so potent because it allows you to build awareness around kind of the society's norms that gets put on us as female and feminine beings. And it kind of brings light to the preconceived notions about how a woman is supposed to act and how she interacts with herself and the people around her. And this information is really meant to give you an understanding into the cycles, into the ebb and flow of the feminine psyche and those archetypes. And an archetype is just a model of how we understand the role of the feminine, right? So it's like this overarching understanding of how the feminine operates in the world. And I'm very passionate about this information because it has the potential to completely overhaul and realign what you thought to be true about yourself and the feminine, and how it can transform into a more powerful, aligned, deeply connected, deeply intuitive version of yourself in the world. So, like I said, the workbook is in the comments if you guys want to download that and take a look at it. And a couple of recommendations I do have for you guys before we go through this course. The first thing I recommend you do is start to track your month, right? So you want to, when you track your month, you want to include, so you get a calendar, right? Any calendar, and you track your month. Maybe on each day, you can put the 4 main phases of the moon, the waxing, waning, the full and the new moon. And then each day, I want you to track how you feel. I want you to track your mood. I want you to track how your body feels. If you're bloated, if you feel really skinny, if you feel strong, you feel a little bit weak. I want you to track your cravings. So your cravings, whether it be for food or, human interaction, connection with other people. I want you to track your sexual tendencies and your sexuality. If you're feeling really in tune and really voluptuous and like you want to be that like vixen, or if you're feeling kind of like inward and like closed off, I want you to track your power level. If you have any discharge, say, and like just an overall snapshot of your life every day. So as we go through these 4 days, and what I would encourage you to continue to do is to track yourself, right? Track how you feel every day, track the entire month, because tracking the entire month will give you a blueprint into where you're predisposed for feeling, for acting, what your body might react to, what kind of is your natural cyclical flow. So that's just one disclaimer. I kind of encourage you to track your month, or at least track the 4 days and just notice how different, notice how much you might fluctuate through those 4 days. The purpose of all of this is to give you a deep awareness into who you are and how you relate to the world and how you naturally show up in the world. So when you have a deep understanding, a deep awareness of who you are and how you operate in the world, you're able to utilize that information to navigate a little bit easier. You're able to utilize that information to know maybe you're looking at a day where you might feel bloated or you might feel a little bit irritable, and you can kind of track that as you track your month and as you use this information, this weaving of cyclical information to allow yourself to understand yourself a little bit deeper. If you guys are joining in, just say hi. You can drop a comment in the comment box. And like I said before, the workbook that I created is in the comments. So if you're interested in using the workbook as we go through this information 4 days, it's a really potent way to get you tapped in and tuned in to this information. And it'll really allow you to gain a deeper understanding into your natural tendencies, what you can learn, what's the optimal time for you to take action on your dreams, when to create, and when you might need a little bit of extra attention or rest. Okay, so I'll give you a little bit of insight into the framework that we're working with. So there's 4 main feminine archetypes that I work with personally. It is the hag, the virgin, the mother, and the enchantress. And each of these has like a feminine a container that it lies under, and each of these have their own special characteristics. So a disclaimer about all of these, they all interact at all times. So you embody all of these feminine archetypes all the time. But the point of this information and the point of you doing this course is to understand when these energies show up stronger and when these energies kind of come to play in your life, so you can notice them, so you can take control of them instead of them controlling you. And these 4 archetypes not only just draw a parallel to our personal selves, but they also draw a parallel to nature, to the cosmos. And you can start to see and pay attention to how these qualities literally manifest into your reality, into your thoughts, into your feelings and patterns and characteristics, and how when they're out of alignment, you can tell and consciously choose to bring them back into alignment. And you know, when you are in alignment, notice and celebrate the fact that you're balanced and you're aligned and you're feeling integrated with source and yourself and others. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments as I kind of just go over this like main framework for this course. And then we'll get into our first one, which will be the hag, which is the darkness. So like I said, this is really about tracking yourself. This is really about getting back into touch with your natural flow and your natural cycles. And this is really about creating awareness, because without awareness, we can't know what to change and we can't know what we're doing really well at. So this awareness is really important and a really potent catalyst for change and transformation in your life. All right, so like I said, there's 4 basic archetypes, and each of these archetypes correspond to an identifying container. They also correspond to a season, they correspond to a color, they correspond to a phase of the moon, and they have a specific feel and a specific flow to them. And all of these archetypes, like I said before, they end up weaving and working together, so we can begin to understand the feminine in her fullness of darkness and in light. So we're going to talk a lot about what it means to embrace your darkness and be okay with the fact that we have this duality within us inherently, that we have this darkness and we have this light. This understanding is also really important because it allows you to easily grasp the concept of what it means to fully embody in feminine form, what it means to ebb and flow, and what it means to have the cosmos literally be us in physical form. So to be a blueprint for this beautiful ebb and flow of the moon, ebb and flow of the tides, ebb and flow of how the seasons change. So you can literally see how connected we are to the cosmos, to the seasons, to the earth, to Gaia, and everything that there is, and how it manifests into our life. So if you guys are with me, you can say hi and drop a comment. And I want to get started. I'm going to dive into the darkness today. So that'll be our first feminine archetype. And it is the hag, but I want to do a quick visualization to kind of get us into this energy of feeling what the hag feels like, feeling what this dark moon energy feels like, so we can really begin to understand it, embody it, and use it in our lives. So if you guys want to take a moment to close your eyes and take a nice deep inhale. And then exhale, let it go. Allow your tongue to peel off the roof of your mouth. Allow your shoulders to relax away from your ears. Allow your belly and your womb into the chair as you grow tall through the crown of your head. Take another nice deep inhale. And just try to come to a place of stillness. Come to a place of neutral darkness. And I'm going to just do a quick guided visual meditation. So pretend like you're sitting in a backyard and you're looking up at the night sky. It is calm and peaceful. There are stars dancing through the galaxy, and you feel connected with the void. You're pondering upon the darkness, upon the vastness of space. There is no light from the moon. It is dark and it is still. Even though the moon has danced through much movement, it has come to a point of rest, a point of darkness. Imagine the sky with the stars, and imagine yourself being deeply enveloped by this mystery and wonder. Imagine yourself being surrounded by the darkness and holding comfort in this space. You feel deeply attuned to yourself, and you feel deeply attuned to experience the mystical, the ethereal, and you're grounded into this earthly form. You allow yourself to be relaxed as you ponder the darkness. You know that you are the bridge between the seen and the unseen, with all the wisdom and power that comes with deep reflection on life experiences and nature. You have been through a lot, but there is a calmness that seeps over you that allows you to understand that all of your experience hold value and power. You love your darkness. You believe, you know, you understand that your darkness has deep value. Your darkness allows you to be whole just as you are. No judgment, no anger, just a deep, dark stillness. You are the hag, and you are the high priestess. Take a nice deep inhale through your nose and exhale out of your mouth, and allow yourself to come back into this space when you're ready. All right, so this is our first feminine archetype that we're going to be talking about today. it is the hag, the high priestess. So sometimes what comes up when people talk about the hag or the high priestess, when they think of the word hag, they kind of think of someone who is maybe angry, maybe dark, maybe she is a little bit ugly or a little bit deformed. She's like the outcast of the town. You know that she's seen things, but you're not exactly sure what she's seen or what she knows, but you know that she carries this deep wisdom. It's a little bit intimidating. So this hag energy, also known as like this high priestess energy. So if you can imagine a high priestess, right? She's sitting on her throne. If you've ever seen tarot, the high priestess card in tarot, she's sitting on her throne and she's surrounded by pillars. One is white and one is dark. And she is surrounded, adorned by all of these jewels, but she sits with this calmness. She sits with this strong sense of self and this strong sense of understanding. So this hag energy is what we're tapping into now. This is the very first phase of the moon. So like I said before, each of these energies have a corresponding phase of the moon. They have a corresponding phase of, they have a corresponding season. They have a very specific feel. So so my goal is to get you to feel what it would feel like, how to conjure up these feelings of the hag, conjure up these feelings of the high priestess. So that way, when you're in that energy in your everyday life, you can really understand how it plays out and you can really harness the power of the hag. And the reason why this one is so much fun is because this is the darkness. So I'll just go over a couple of the qualities of the hag. So she is, so like I said, you guys can look in your workbook for this also, because this all says it. I'm going to run through it relatively quickly right here. So the phase of the moon is the new moon, also known as the dark moon. And the new moon and the dark moon is a really strong time for intention setting. So that's why this is a really good place to start. This hag, this high priestess energy, this is a bridge between the seen and the unseen, right? This is the strong yet calm sense of knowing that we are cosmic beings in physical form. And this new moon and dark moon energy is really transformational. This is a calm, deep, intuitive knowing. This is a calm, deep, intuitive knowing. This is an inward energy. So if you can kind of picture the hag energy, picture the high priestess sitting on her throne with all of her wisdom and all of her knowledge and full faith that where she is where she's supposed to be. And the opinions of others are irrelevant. And the opinions of others do not matter. And she knows that she can trust her connection with the source, and she can trust her connection with, the universe or God or whatever, all that there is, whatever you want to call it. And she trusts her intuition. And she knows that there is nothing that could possibly break that bridge. So the hag or the high priestess, right? Like I said, this is the new moon, the dark moon energy. So this is when there's no moon in the sky, right? Even though the moon is still there, you can't physically or visibly see it. And the season for the hag is winter. So maybe you use the winter as a representation of the hag. You can kind of visualize the trees barren from all the leaves. You can kind of imagine stillness, right? This like idea of a sheeted blanket of snow where it's completely still, very little life and very little movement. All of the animals are kind of holding their energy inward. They're kind of in hibernation like the bears, and excuse me, and they use very minimal outward energy. They keep it very relaxed, very calm. But the quieter and calmer you are, the deeper and more intuitive the connection, right? That's why people meditate, and that's why people have mindfulness practices. So this hag, this high priestess energy is a really strong and calm sense of knowing. And this is being in touch with your soul. Like I said, this is like an inward energy. So this is your needs, your wants, your desires. This is trusting, full faith in the connection to source and the connection to your intuition. So now that we kind of have a feel, right? So in addition to the new moon and the dark moon energy, which is known for, this is kind of correlated with the season winter. It is also correlated with the colors red. So these deep, dark hues of red and black. And it kind of gives you this vision of just being cloaked in this darkness. And traditionally, and from the Red Moon book by Miranda Gray, it kind of talks about how this new moon and dark moon energy, this hag or high priestess energy, this darkness is it's a pivot point, and it's a point usually of menstruation. So I'm making a disclaimer here. When I talk about menstruation throughout this training, I'm just talking about like not the physical sense of bleeding. While some people do bleed with the new moon, which I actually bleed with the new moon at this point in my life. But when we talk about menstruation, think of it as like a shedding, right? So we're literally shedding this old version of ourselves. So these times in our lives when we're shedding layers so that we can create space, right? So this blood, so you have to bleed, you have to let something go, right? This like blood, it's like an offering. It's a symbol of death and transformation. And if you think back to ancient times, like say the Mayans or the Aztecs, they would do these offerings where they would literally offer, I know they did some weird stuff with literal human offerings, but also, they would offer up some blood, and the blood is a symbol of rebirth. If you think about blood, and it's this idea that it regenerates itself. You get a cut, it closes itself up, and the blood inside of you continues to pump, it continues to regenerate. So when we're talking about this new moon, dark moon energy, we're talking about menstruation, we're talking about shedding layers, we're talking about it as a symbol of death and powerful transition and transformation. And we're talking about a powerful point of connection to source and to yourself. So to try and get across this hag or this high priestess energy, those are what it feels like, right? So we've tried to paint a picture of what this hag or the high priestess energy feels like. So now I kind of want to give you guys a couple of moments to just sit with that energy, take a couple of nice deep breaths, and try to think back to a time in your life when you really felt this deep, calm sense of knowing. Are there one or two times in your life that you can kind of pick out that you have this deep sense of knowing, that you have this deep sense of understanding that you are this cosmic being, but you're manifested in this physical form? So take a couple of moments, take a couple of breaths. I'm going to take some water. And just think about maybe when you've really embodied this high priestess, this hag energy. And like I said, this has a lot to do with menstruation, but maybe not just in the physical form. Maybe it's in the idealistic form that you're shedding these layers, you're getting rid of this stuff, you're making space, you're setting intentions. So like I said, this is kind of what we talked about. I think I'm back. with your darkness. And this hag energy is okay in her darkness. She's deeply tuned into herself, and she knows that this dark, deep energy is deeply transformative and deeply, deeply valuable in her movement forward. So this hag, this high priestess, this connection with the divine and with this ethereal realm as well as the earthly realm. It's really powerful. So that's what she feels like when she's in her fullness. That's what the hag and the high priestess feels like when she's risen up into her power, when she really can acknowledge and understand the value of the darkness. So I'll talk a little bit about what she looks like, what the hag and the high priestess looks like when she's out of alignment. So the hag and the high priestess, if you can think, you know, the word hag kind of has this like crusty, kind of like old, a little bit angry and annoyed energy about it, coming from an outside perspective, right? So if you think of the hag, she's like sitting in a rocking chair and she's just like dismal. She's just like pissed at life. She's kind of angry. She's very bitter. She doesn't see the value in all of these experiences that have just gotten thrown her way. She's just like, ugh, the world can F off. I am over it. I don't want anything to do with it. So what I'm trying to get at here is this hag energy. When she's in her power, she's like this deep, dark sense of just like connection and power. And when she's out of alignment, she comes to this space and place where she's really angry. So if you can kind of embody that, if you can think of a time in your life when you're like, I don't know why this is happening to me, but I'm so over it. I'm so angry. I'm so pessimistic. I feel wronged by the world. And that is really the hag energy when she is out of alignment. So the idea here is to know when that hag energy, to know when the dark moon energy, to know when the high priestess is out of alignment. Notice when it shows up in your life. So that way you can use that awareness to shift back into her in alignment, which is a deep sense of calmness and knowing, a deep sense of feeling cradled by the darkness, feeling held by the darkness. So if you can think back, again, I want you guys to visualize as we go through this. Is there a time in your life when you really felt angry at the world, when you really feel like you've been wronged and you really feel like there's no value in any of the things that I've been shown, and I just want everyone to leave me alone, and I want everyone to go away, and I have no business and I have no desire to be near or see or be heard by anyone. So the play of these two, right? So the hag and the high priestess, all of these feminine archetypes have two sides to them. And not one side is better than the other. But the idea here is, again, to draw your attention, your awareness to where this archetype, where this model of understanding really holds power, and where it kind of knocks you out of your power, and how you can be aware of when you're out of your power so you can bring you back into alignment. And like I said, I dropped the workbook in the comments. So if you guys are watching and you wanted to kind of go along with this information, I'm on the first one, which is the hag and the high priestess. And some of the stuff that you can do when you are feeling, or some of the stuff that you can reflect on, some of the stuff that using this hag or this high priestess energy, when you notice in your life that you're kind of coming into this space of deep intuitive inwardness, maybe you're getting ready to bleed, right? Maybe you're getting ready to tune into your menstrual cycle. How do you utilize this energy? And like I said, she is connected with the dark moon, right? She's connected with this new moon energy. And this is a really, really potent time to set intentions. So having full trust and faith that this dark energy is behind you, and having trust and faith that this dark energy will lead you to the light, with enough patience and with enough calmness and with enough just inner knowing and trust. So this is a really good time to set intentions, and a good intention setting practice would just be sit down, maybe under the stars, tune into that hag energy that we tuned into earlier, and really allow yourself to hear from your gut, from your being, from your soul, what you really want, what you would like to manifest as we move through this cycle, right? So the darkness, we're starting at the darkness, we're starting at the new moon. And this is a really good time to set intentions for the entire next cycle. And again, like I said before, all of these energies play out in your life constantly. It's a constant weave, ebb and flow of all of these energies. But if you can really tap in and notice when these energies show up in your life, you can kind of gain a better understanding into who you are and how you operate in the world. So in addition to setting intentions, this is a really potent time to journal. So you can journal and really reflect. Notice what your heart is asking you for. Notice what your womb space is asking you for. And notice what it feels like to, or what you want to show up in your life that would really allow you to stand in your power, to feel strong, to feel connected. What does it feel like to be connected with the divine? What does it feel like to know that everything you've ever wanted is at your fingertips? And you could literally sit down, tune into this hag energy, especially when we approach the new moon. But you can kind of call in this energy whenever you need to, because she is very powerful because of her intuitive nature, right? This archetype, this model, this hag, this high priestess, she knows that she is powerful and she doesn't need anyone else to validate her. So this is a really strong time to, when you're feeling this kind of energy, to sit down and to journal. Take out your journal and reflect on what's working, and reflect on what kind of needs to crumble, what needs to fall away in order for something new to sprout, in order for something new to grow and blossom. And just a fun fact that I put in the workbook that I really love, it says, remember that over 90% of the known universe is comprised of dark energy and matter. And I think that's really potent, especially as women and in our social and political and economic kind of context. We have kind of become afraid of our darkness. We kind of have become out of tune with this deep understanding, this deep wisdom, this deep knowing that we are connected with everything, and that we do have this inner compass, this inner voice that is always guiding us if we choose to listen. And the hag, the high priestess, is the perfect example of being fearless in listening to who you are and what you really, really want. And like I said, 90% of the known universe is comprised of this dark energy and matter. So it almost seems counterintuitive that we don't trust our darkness. We don't trust our deepest desires. We don't trust that we can have this connection with source and still feel as if we are worthy of, the light and all of the exciting, lighter kind of high vibe, love and light vibes. There's immense value that the hag and the high priestess is here to teach us. This archetype, this container, is so powerful in just learning how to be still, and learning to be okay with that stillness, learning how we don't always have to be on the run all the time, and there's no reason to be on the go, and that this hag and this high priestess energy is here to support us in times when we need to maybe rest a little more. Or maybe we need to kind of tune into what we want. And without having this high priestess, this hag energy, and without really tuning into what we want, we have no foundation for the rest of our cycle. We have no foundation for the rest of this deep understanding. And without this strong foundation, without this trust in the darkness, without this trust in the hag energy, then we kind of have a shaky foundation for the rest of them, for the more playful, for the lighter sides. And like I said before, just a disclaimer that none of these energies are better or worse than the others. They all have their specific characteristics and their specific relations to ourselves and how we operate in the world, and allowing these energies to show up in their fullness. So there will be some days where you feel like the hag in her power, right? You'll feel like the high priestess. You'll feel like you're sitting on your throne and you don't need anyone or anything. You are full and complete just as you are. And there'll be some times when you're the hag out of alignment, where you're angry, and when you feel this deep sense of despair in your gut, and when you feel like you kind of have lost hope. So to acknowledge both sides of the hag, the high priestess, this dark moon energy, this deep intuitive knowing, this connection with the divine and with our deepest desires, and being okay with the fact that we are dualistic in our nature, and that we truly do have both light and dark. And I think that a part of this training, and a part of why I was feeling really called to do this course and to explain these feminine archetypes and explain these containers, is because without this knowledge, without this awareness, without this understanding, it's almost as if women have kind of been running around like a chicken with their head cut off. We've been spoon-fed all of these ideals. We've been spoon-fed who we think we should be and what we think we should do in the world and how we should relate to other people, when in reality, the best way and the easiest way to feel like you're in your power, to stop feeling so overwhelmed, to really step up into your divine soul purpose, is to understand your own personal ebb and flow, to understand your own personal way of relating to the world, and then draw awareness and tweak it as you go. So this information is just meant to give you this like big overview, this big kind of archetypal understanding of how women naturally ebb and flow with the seasons and with the moon and with the water and the tides, and how we don't have to feel like we're crazy. So I think that a big thing that I come up against is like a lot of women kind of feel like they're crazy because they have these dramatic mood swings, and they go one day they feel like they're on top of the world, and then the next day they're like, oh my God, I can't do anything. I can't be around anyone. And a part of that is the beauty of what it means to be a feminine embodied, to be the feminine, to be the divine feminine embodied. It's coming to terms with this awareness of the dark and the light, and how they interact and play in our lives, and how this information is so potent to helping you understand that, like, if you're feeling dark and dismal one day, it's okay, because there's, number one, ways to kind of bring you back from that feeling. And number two, that's a part of a natural flow of feminine embodied. That is part of a natural flow of your life and who you are and what you have to offer the world. So if you guys have any questions, I see there's one or two of you on here with me. If you guys have any questions about what it means to be the hag or the high priestess, what it means to be in alignment, what it means to be really in tune with your darkness and to be comfortable with your darkness, feel free to leave them in the comments. I will be watching the comments. Even if you're on the replay, you can type in #replay and I'll answer them at a later date. But before I kind of log off and this first session, this first training, I want to do just one more guided visual meditation. So take a nice deep inhale and exhale. Allow your shoulders to roll down your back. Peel your tongue off the roof of your mouth. Close your eyes and really embody, tune in to this hag, this high priestess, this bridge between the seen and the unseen. You're sitting in the grass, gazing up at the stars, and there's nothing but calmness in your soul. There's nothing but a deep connection to the ground below you and the earth and the sky, stars and sky above you. Allow yourself to be deeply supported by this hag energy, by this high priestess energy, trusting fully that you're connected with the divine and that all of the answers that you've ever needed or could ever want is deep within your soul, just waiting for you to be quiet enough to hear them. Imagine the high priestess. You are her. You're sitting on your throne. Your crown is tingling as you connect with Source. You feel no need for validation as you gently smile to yourself and understand that everything is as it should be. You take a nice, deep, strong inhale through your nose. And an exhale, sigh it out. Allow yourself to be completely and fully supported by this dark moon energy. Allow yourself to set intentions. Allow yourself to feel into your darkness, into the depths of your soul and your light. Nice deep inhale and an exhale. You guys can come back into the space. Right, so that was our overview for day 1, the Divine Feminine Archetypes. This training is meant to bring you from overwhelmed to divinely aligned. Understanding the feminine archetypes will give you a strong insight into who you are and how you operate in the world. And this hag, this dark moon energy, this strong connection to Source and your deepest desires, no matter how deep or dark they are, is what will help you to understand that you are connected, you are whole, even in your darkness, even in the times when you might feel out of alignment or angry. So if you guys have absolutely any questions about this hag energy, I know I went over a lot in this training, but it was really my intention to give you all a really strong feel, a foundation for what it is like to be in this hag energy, to what it is like to honor the fact that we are these divine feminine beings that have both darkness and light within us. And this darkness is so potent and so powerful. And there are so many women that are afraid of their darkness. And it is time for us to reclaim our darkness. It is time for us to reclaim this hag energy, this really strong, potent high priestess energy. It is time for us to reclaim it so that way we can use this information to rise together, to bring awareness about who we are and what we do in the world and how we can best be suited for our soul's purpose and what we were put here to do. So I hope you guys found this helpful. I hope you really enjoyed the meditations. And like I said, take a look at the workbook. Kind of look it over. It gives you a really short overview, a snippet of how to embody this hag and high priestess energy. and what you can do when you are feeling like you're tuned into this priestess energy, when you're feeling like you're tuned into this hag energy, what you can do to harness it, to harness her power and bring you back in alignment if you're feeling a little bit wobbly. Oh, thank you, Emma. She said, I love this. Thank you. It's very helpful. I'm so glad you found it helpful. And I will be back tomorrow at 11 a.m. We are moving towards the light from the darkness. So we will be going over some really fun stuff tomorrow, kind of lifting the darkness a little bit. So I hope you guys can join me again tomorrow. Thank you for everyone that was on here. This was so much fun. I hope you found it really valuable. And again, if you have any questions, if you want to connect further, or if you need any guidance, I am always here for connection. And it is really my intention to have you guys feel like you're fully supported in this unveiling of the divine feminine, to really allow you guys to tap into your cyclical nature and feminine flow. So I hope you guys have an awesome rest of your Monday. Thank you all for tuning in. I'm so grateful for each and every one of you. And see where in your life you can tune into this dark hag or high priestess energy. Thank you all so much, and I will see you tomorrow.